For the greatest and finest control over animation, use the curve editor to adjust the interpolation between keyframes. That's the filling in of unknown data. For keyframing in computer animation, we just set values at particular points in time, and then the computer fills in all of the in-between data. We control the in-betweening or interpolation in the curve editor. Select the animated object, the camera, and open the curve editor from its button on the main toolbar. In the previous movie, we deleted the static tracks. Let's just display the animated tracks. We want to select X position, hold down Control and select Y position, hold down Control and select Z rotation if those three were not already automatically selected, and then frame the horizontal and value extents, and those three curves are framed in the graph. We see a classic S-curve shape resulting from the default interpolation type, which is autotangents or auto-Bezier. The rate of change in any track value is indicated by the slope of the function curve. A steep slope indicates fast change, a shallow slope means a slower change, and a flat area or a plateau means no change over time. To use a different interpolation type, we'll select one or more keyframes in the graph. I can select all these keys by dragging a big rectangle around all of those. Let's change their interpolation type. The Curve Editor toolbar area is a little cluttered, but over on the right side is the Key Tangents toolbar. Click one of these buttons to assign an interpolation type to the selected keys. I'll choose Set Tangents to Linear. And now we have linear transitions between keyframes. Let's minimize the Curve Editor and check this by rewinding and playing back, seeing what that looks like. We're seeing a pretty abrupt transition in the middle there at frame 70. Okay, I'll stop that and rewind. Back in the Curve Editor, those keyframes are still selected. Let's switch them back to their default. Click Set Tangents to Auto. To make this beautiful, we need smooth flowing curves. I can start by deleting this keyframe here. It'll be easier to see that that's an issue if I just select that one track, which is X position, and zoom in a little bit, Control Alt and middle mouse, and drag vertically. We've kind of got a little bit of a bump there, so let's just select that keyframe and press Delete to erase it, and now we've got a smoother curve in that area, and we can frame horizontal and value extents once again, and that's the classic S-curve interpolation. And we can check that by playing in our timeline. It's a little bit better. We had a bit of a hiccup there in the middle before, but now that's been smoothed over because we've deleted that keyframe. All right, I'll stop and rewind once again. Let's look at moving keyframes around. Let's go to the Z rotation track, and once again, frame horizontal and value extents. And we can edit keyframes in numerous ways. For example, we can select the keyframe. The selected key's frame number and its track value are displayed in the Statistics area in the toolbar at the bottom of the Curve Editor. I can make this rotation start later by moving the keyframe to a later point in time. I'll set the frame for that keyframe to a value of 50 and press Enter, and rewind and play back. We can see that the rotation starts much later now. Okay, I'll rewind. We can also move keyframes around with the Move Keys tool, which is enabled by default. So we can just click on any keyframe or selection of keyframes and move it. By default, we can move it in both time and value. I'll undo that with Control Z. To constrain the movement, we can either choose a different tool from the flyout, or we can use a hotkey. So if we choose to constrain horizontally, we'll only move in time and not in value. If we constrain vertically, we'll move only in value and not in time. I prefer to use the hotkeys instead of those tool buttons. Hold down the Control key and move a selection left and right to move it in time, or hold down Control and move that selection up or down to change its value. I'll undo that change with Control Z, and I'll send it back to its original time of frame 0. That's a bit more about editing keyframes and changing interpolation types. In the following movie, we will edit the interpolation by adjusting the positions of tangent handles.